Volume 3 Chapter 10. Falma, he's in line. Falma's older brother Pal was in the line waiting for the New Year's business. He can't turn down a person who's behaving appropriately and waiting for a turn between commoners. Falma had become a court pharmacist. He was, moreover, the founder of Diversus Mundi Pharmacy. He had done so much in the past year, yet those things haven't reached Pal's ear. Wouldn't it be better to hide that badge? Ellen referred to Falma's court pharmacist badge. If you try to hide or make an excuse, it'll be anything. If you're in the third floor, Falma's laboratory, he won't know. What do we do? Ellen looked at Falma. Even if he hides to his brother, it would just be a temporary countermeasure. Sooner or later, Falma will be in the situation where he couldn't prevent his brother. That is another method, but Falma turned his head. In the direction where Falma turned his gaze, there was a board where the name of the pharmacists and the employees were inscribed. His name was listed at the top as the shop owner. Ellen, who was thinking, grasped her staff. "Leave it to me, I'll go talk to him." "Cease it, Ellen. A skirmish would be inevitable if you were to do that." Ellen and Pal were rivals. It wouldn't be odd if they were to clash inside the pharmacy or at the streets of Imperial Capital. You don't want to introduce that garbage into the pharmacy. The customers are coming, and is not a problem if the shop is blown away with your elder brother. Because I state good things, Falma, you must care about serving our customer without worrying about anything. Ellen's words invite no wrath. Ellen opened the door of the pharmacy, stepped the snow and went out in front of the latticed gate. And stand in front of the customer with a smile to start the New Year business. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome home. Thank you for your kind patronage of visiting our Diversus Mundi Pharmacy. Ellen deeply lowered her head, letting security guard knights open the main gate. Ellen stood up in front of Pal while welcoming guests in a pleasant attitude. "Oh, it's been a long time, Pal." Having her arms folded, it is provocative as if to emphasize her beauty and breasts. "Eleanor," Pal caused an awkward face. "Why are you here?" "Why? Because I am hired." Ellen acts like a typical daughter of an aristocrat and showed a high laugh. Is it a mockery for the pharmacy that a daughter of an aristocrat working under another noble, or your house really is that poor that you need to work? Or maybe your rank pride as an aristocrat degraded that much, Pal retorted in the similar manner. Whose house is shabby? Eleanor is a wealthy daughter of an aristocrat. Although it may be lower grade from Pal's family, an archduke, there is no reason to consider it a lower class. Well then, in this shop where the imperial sanction is granted under the protection of Her Imperial Majesty. What did you come buying? It was an efficacious retort to Pal, who is a meathead, and so their words to each other has an insult intent to be conveyed. It is a medicine to be attached to the brain muscle, etc., and as a selling word it is a word of refusal. It has become a reward of speech for words to each other. Okay, let's talk slowly, Eleanor. Ellen thrust a handkerchief at Pal's feet. In this case, the communication will be conveyed through body language. Oh my, do not lose to me like you did in advance, Ellen, who is superior in manipulation, retorted. Hey, I do not remember losing. With neither buying their words, the two ride a horse, and they go out to the suburbs. Hey, 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 hey. Both of you, where are you going? Falma, who was peeping in while talking about the water attributes of the two people who heat up selfishly, was stunned by sudden deployment. It was a declaration for a duel because Eleanor Sama placed a handkerchief to Pal's feet. Laud pointed her index finger and explains it. Blanche is trembling and prayed to God with her hands. Give me a break. Falma stands up eagerly. The patient was scared and frightened. It's fun, they'll experience a duel. Which do you support? It seemed that Law doesn't quite decipher the meaning of the duel very well. Because duel will result to a casualty. I'm not looking forward to it. Falma, who's watching them from outside the window while examining the situation, thought that Ellen was going out better than felt my head hurt. Oh no, looks like their boiling point is excessively low. Falma wrote a prescription for everyone who was lined up in the rush of momentum. He threw, I'm glad, to the first-class pharmacist who was coming to work at the pharmacy. I will return by noon. He took off his white uniform, put on his coat and ran out of the pharmacy. Although I went out of the pharmacy immediately after I wrote the prescription, they both rode on a horse and went out. I lost sight of them. Lot called Falma from behind, who was at a loss. It's utterly factually, because both of them are a pharmacist. Even if they get injured, they can't abandon who's wounded. I think they will provide allowances to each other, then here, happy in reconciliation. Lot encouraged Falma, yet he didn't agree to Lot's statement. He murmured some words. That does not make any difference. Falma regretted he should have left from the beginning. Pal and Ellen recovered a vacant lot owned by the Banu for a family. They descended from their horses and withdrew a distance from each other. Both of them represent a user of divine arts of water. Both of them are superior in using divine arts. Naturally, they can use all the divine arts of water attribute: water, snow, ice, fog, hot water. Well, it's a game. Pal instantly took off his coat and flung it away. Despite midwinter, he represented a hot-headed man who exposed his arm covered with muscles like armor. Is it okay until either one of us falls? Ellen also took off her white uniform so as not to tarnish it. Behind that white uniform, a chest with elegant size and a bodyline that was effectively organized without any compromise appeared. She opened the front button of the long skirt to create a high slit for battle. A feminine leg with moderately muscular depicting a pleasant leg line beauty were exposed. Don't cry on me. Pal threw the pebble he had in his hand high above their head. The moment the pebble touches the ground, the battle will begin. Ellen and Pal ran as soon as the stone fell to the ground. To stay in one place is to become a duck target. A brilliant wall of impenetrable fog. Ellen created an impenetrable fog between herself and Pal to lower his visibility. Disturbing the coordinates served as the basis of water attribute divine arts battle. Ellen swings the staff to the side. Plu inverse. Inverted rain, against Ellen, who tried to put a curtain of deep water on the ground and take a reverse downpour from the ground. Pal also started chanting to counterattack Ellen. Captured de glace, ice capture. Pal used Ellen's water to capture her from the ground. Lumps of ice captured Ellen's foot and freeze Ellen's body. But Ellen pierced her staff and the crystal stone of her staff radiated a sharp glow. Fonty repeat, rapid melting, the blocks of ice turned into water and evaporate. Naiad, spirit of water. Pal's foot was tamped on the ground, and he is prepared for the recoil of the large water discharge. It is one of the superior divine arts of water technique. The vast stream of water created from Pal's staff became a giant of water and attacked Ellen. If you shoot a hardened ice fist on the ground with divine power, it is powerful enough to gouge out the ground and a crater will be created. Pal, who sent such a thing mercilessly to Ellen, did not hold himself at all. Ellen, who had fled to a direct vertical line with sufficient power running, suddenly looked back and pointed her staff to the giant. The icicles that stems from the tip of the staff creates a giant transparent ice bud that is larger than Ellen's height. Ellen's aqua-colored eyes are gently producing ice when it got more massive and bigger. Florescent bloom, two-stage invocation. Fleur de glace, ice flower, physical defense shield. Enormous flowers of ice bloomed in a layered manner with dazzling flashes. The giant threw a fist and was swallowed by the petal. The giant was destroyed from the inside with a wave of freezing. The giant's ice chips, crushed like diamond dust, are swept away by the wind and gently reflected in the atmosphere. The impenetrable fog cleared up and the two face each other again. Hey, Eleanor. I don't despise capable women. I detest you. Ha ha ha. He was delighted to see a contentious opponent with the same attribute. The confrontation with Falma was unsatisfactory for Pavier in spite of his victory or defeat. Falma is too much of a burden, and does not enter front of him. In addition, he was also dissatisfied with the face that seemed to end soon. From Pal's point of view, he felt good fighting with Eleanor. Don't be stupid. It is not a pleasure to be praised by the likes of you. Ellen grasps the staff. If there is something you do not like at all, you retort to violence. You're not the same, are you? It's habitually the opposite of calm Falma. Ellen was deplorable as to why the brothers are different. Ellen has learned divine arts for self-defense. However, to gain a sense of superiority against the opponent, Pal uses divine art for his self-revelation. Ellen thought so. You do not seem like similar. According to Falma, in the part with low resistance, the two are similar. Both parties were also struggling to comprehend why it developed into a battle, but had enhanced an atmosphere that they had to settle it. I think it's going to be hard for a pharmacy owner to have an employee like yourself. Oh my, roughly, why did you come to the pharmacy? I guess came to pharmacy to buy some medicine. I'm a customer, what do you think we're doing here? Sure, that was the case, but Ellen got many answers. She was the first to initiate the battle. Unfortunately, Diversus Mundi Pharmacy doesn't sell medicine. If you want medicine, you must transport a patient. There were supporters, bandages, candy, etc. in the sales corner of the different world pharmacies, but the pharmacy doesn't sell medicine. Foremost, it is the shopkeeper's policy to develop a medicine after observing a patient. That's why there's no medicine in our pharmacy for a fit person. Indeed, Pal was convinced. I'm the patient. Pal entered a whitish appearance. Well, what's the disease? Ellen realized Pal did not come to the pharmacy for freshness, and it was not a duel mood anymore. Ellen and Pal put off their staff for the first time. I until now obtained no diagnosis, perhaps nobody knows. Who graduated from Nova Root Pharmaceutical University, which is said to be the best in this world, yet he doesn't recognize the disease. But there are things to understand. My life is probably not long. Pal laughed hysterically. Ellen could see bleeding from the gums. What's wrong with that blood? I haven't hit you yet. Ellen has not attacked, yet he seems to be hurt already. This is one of its symptoms. Pal coughed up the blood that gathered in his mouth abrasively. He bleeds right away, and the bleeding shows no sign of ending. Even Pal knows it is abnormal. You who are a private teacher of Falma may contact him. But keep this case secret. Especially because Falma and Blanche are however small. Does your father and mother know? Nobody knows. You are the first time. If you see you came to the pharmacy, it will not be better than to whiter. Well, what is it? In the past few days, I played with Falma and Blanche as much as I could remember. Ellen remembered the Falma had said they had been taken by Pal during this consecutive holiday. It seemed to her that Pal was going to make memories for his younger brother and sister. Falma hid behind the scenes from a place that was a little far away, and was observing the appearance of the two. As a showy battle between Ellen and Pal began, Falma secured the venue by following the flow of that power. If either was going to get injured, Falma intended halting them by utilizing the ability of a negative attribute. T.N. Negative attribute, the ability to reduce volume, but in Falma's case, he can erase the substance itself. Falma was surprised by the development because they stopped fighting but pondered why they do it. Do not say anything bullish and do it firmly. Ellen encourages him. In the unlikely event that something happens, the house will be taken over by Falma. He's no big deal, but I'm certain he'll do it when I'm gone. Are you capable to establish a diagnosis and make a treatment plan for yourself? What do you do to a disease that cannot be diagnosed? Ellen inquires Pal. Ellen has a rivalry relationship with Pavier for many years, but because she does not agree that Pal is coming up, she does not particularly loathe him. Falma examined Pal from a distance using diagnosis eyes. Pal's intact body was shining pale. A part of the bone, and along the blood vessel, its fluorescence flows while pulsing. Because of the movement of light, the Falma adheres to the disease of bone and blood system, and chants the disease name from the shape. And it reacted to one disease that Falma was afraid of. Leukemia. Falma froze his spine. It is called blood cancer. Unlike infectious diseases, I did not know whether it could be cured. It is not. You can treat it with certainty. I'm sorry, my older brother. I overlooked you. If only I properly used my eyes. When Pal visited home after returning home half a year ago, there was absolutely no abnormality in him. However, in this homecoming, Pal played with his siblings energetically. since the machine gun talk was continuing for a certain number of extra times than usual. Falma also got tired and forgot to examine him with diagnosis eyes. Leukemia cells begin with the birth of leukemic cells from a single hematopoietic cell mutation. Falma was reflecting because he undermined the chances to examine his elder brother. It was likely why elder brother played with us as much as he can. It is possible it was because Pal was in the shadow of his own creeping death. Falma believed the same as Ellen. In retrospect, when Falma treated his brother's injury after their brother confrontation, there were many blue bruises on his hands and feet. However, since it is a brain muscle older brother, Falma thought that it was made by a woman, considering his brother's self-discipline and fighting. In this world, few people suffer from cancer compared to modern developed countries like Japan. In the first place, commoners of this world have a short life expectancy. The probability of dying from other infectious diseases is high. Cancer patients who came to the pharmacy weren't noticeable. Because the immune system of the noble is enhanced by their own divine power, few cases are strongly related to genetic diseases. Therefore, it was quite unusual that a high-ranking nobleman like Pal, who has a strong god power, suffered from leukemia. Or maybe because the older brother was not living on occasion with me, the chief priest said that people were less likely to get sick because the sanctuary is generated when they are around Falma. Unfortunately, his older brother had lived in a remote place in Nova Root, so it may be that Falma's sanctuary had no effect. There are 4 types of leukemia, and it is divided into 2 categories: chronic and acute leukemia. Acute, there was a reaction on the acute side. If Pal didn't undergo the treatment presently, it would mean that in a few months Pal would die. Acute myelogenous leukemia. In leukemia, symptoms like nosebleeds and bleeding from the gums, bruises, susceptibility to infection, and anemia appeared one after another, which was a troublesome disease affecting many organs over time. Even he called it acute myelogenous leukemia. There is a reaction, but the light does not go away. Falma altered the name of the disease. Acute promyelocytic leukemia. At the time the name of the disease became distinct, Falma thought that Pal should not return to Nova Root. This type is prone to bleeding in the blood vessels of the brain. If Pal bleed at any moment, surgery cannot be done because things in the brain can barely get out of hand. Falma will have no choice but to see the Pal's death. If he did not try to stop by a pharmacy, he might have fallen in Nova Root. There is no time to hesitate anymore. It is a condition where Pal's life is at stake. Falma could no longer care about identity barriers. Brother, Falma walked before Ellen and Pal. The sudden appearance of his little brother in the scene after that serious talk, Pal thought how far Falma heard in the talk. Why are you here in a place like here? Are you seeking Ellen? Do you have a private tutor today? Pal called and raised his hand to Falma with a vivid expression. From Pal's attitude it seems that he is not going, notifying Falma of his condition. But Falma shook his head from side to side, saying it would not be the case. I gathered the story, Falma. About that, you should do what you ought to do, father and mother, then. Stop it. Pal tried to place some words on Falma, but Falma intervened him. I did not want to hear my brother's will. Let's fight, older brother. In order not to make it reality, Falma looked directly at Pal. Some medicines may be effective. Pal realized he heard something like a kind of speech in that significant sentence, not a younger brother's words of relaxation. Your medicine? Pal put an emphasis on his words enough to pierce him, with the intention to crush his little brother's illusion. The founder and owner of Diversus Mundi Pharmacy is me. What? Pal exhausted his energy from that news and dropped his staff.